Hi everyone, and welcome back to Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. Okay, today's story is titled Watch Your So-Called Best Friends. Me, 25, girlfriend, 23 at the time. A little over 25 years ago, I found the woman of my dreams. We will call her Mary. We did everything together. She learned to love my passions like scuba diving and fishing. She was beautiful, smart, and funny. After about a year, we moved in together. More or less, I still kept my own place but stayed at her place more often than not. Life was great. In fact, I was thinking about asking her to marry me. Then she started to act distant. I was getting the Heisman in bed, and then she started to want alone time, picking BS arguments. Always be mindful of red flags, even if she tells you it's not in your head. I started to talk to my best friend Billy every night about what was happening and how I was thinking it was another man. I also told him about how am I going to find it out. After trying for a long time to catch her, I gave up and moved on. I ended up moving to another city about 2 hours away with a much better job. Then, one day out of the blue, Mary reconnects with me. We chat for hours and hours over the days and weeks. Just think about Forrest Gump. We were like peas and carrots. She comes to visit and it goes well. So she moves in with me and finds a job. Things were going really well. So we started to look for a nice apartment. Also, I was thinking about popping the question. I was also in the process of thinning things out, pitching out the waste to make the move easier. She drove up to see her folks. 2-hour drive. I had to work the next day, so I did not go. I went back to pitching out things. I got to a pile of partially used legal pads and notebooks, flipped through them to see if there is anything important. I opened a notebook, like the ones in school, with a black and white binder. It was Mary's journal. I read it, every single sordid word. I was absolutely crushed. I went into the bathroom and threw up. It's been 25 years and I can still feel the pain. I hardly know where to start. She was having a non-stop physical relationship with my best friend Billy, with every detail you can imagine. She and Billy were laughing at me about how they knew every single thing I was going to do to catch them. It all falls into place. That is the reason I never caught them. I was telling my every move to the guy who was effing my girl. A few months after our breakup, still completely in the dark, I started to notice that Billy was very distant. For an example, I was not invited to a barbecue held at Billy's house, which I thought was odd, but I went anyway. When I walked in, they acted like they had seen a ghost, and a few of them were bumping their elbows to each other and were chuckling to themselves. I saw Mary there, which was not a shock, as we ran with the same crowd, and in hindsight, Billy looked uncomfortable, but at the time I played it off as maybe he thought he forgot to invite me and felt bad. I did not stay long as the place had a weird vibe going on. More red flags. In the large part, I was ostracized from my what I thought friends, still in the dark, so much that I never said goodbye to any of them when I moved. After reading her journal, I made copies. One set for me, one set for Mary's parents, one set for Billy's current wife and his parents, and left a set on top of the pile of her things by the front door. I put a note saying she has 24 hours to pack and leave, or otherwise I will call the police. I was receiving calls from her, but I did not answer. My voicemail was filled with, "I love you, you're my best friend, that was in the past, and you're the love of my life, etc., etc., and more etc." At the end of the note on top of her things, I said, "I will never be someone's plan B." Fast forward 20 plus years, happily married to a woman who adores me with grown kids. Moral of the story, pay attention to red flags and remember Caesar thought Brutus was his friend. End of the first story. We have another story coming up next, but before that, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. Second story is titled, My wife just confessed that she cheated on me a few days ago. Where do I go from here? We live in a state in lockdown due to Corona, but the cases are mild where we live since we are far from the major population centers. However, we spent the majority of our time since March stuck at home. My wife and our son went to visit family for 2 weeks in a neighboring state since they have had no cases in their area. Things are more or less normal. This would give my wife a much needed break as the grandparents could watch the kid. While there, wife was hanging out with an old family friend, male, who told my wife that he wanted her to enjoy her little vacation and had a lot of activities planned for them. He would take her shopping, to the lake, for dinner, and pretty much all the stuff she loved doing but could not due to lockdown and no babysitter. I was aware they were doing this, but wasn't concerned due to the long friendship and the trust of the friend, as well as with my wife. Honestly, she needed a break, and this seems to have helped her a lot. One night after drinking at his place, they ended up sleeping together. My wife told me after a while when she realized that what she was doing was wrong and stopped it. No one finished. However, there was an earlier incident where he ended up giving her something to completion. My wife came home yesterday, and once the kid was asleep, she confessed to all of the above to me. I was shocked, betrayed, all the feelings of a cheated on person can feel. I am angry at my wife, angry at my friend, despaired, because now I don't know what's going to happen with my family. One second I want to get a divorce because I feel betrayed. The next, I want to fix things and save my family. To compound my feelings, my wife is partially blaming me for what happened, saying that if I treated her better and showered with attention like our now ex-friend, then she would never have been attracted to him. I'll admit that our marriage has been rocky for a while, and that she is right that I haven't been very affectionate with her as I should, but her action takes it to a whole different level and really can't be compared. What do I do? Where do I go from here? My first suggestion that I said to my wife that we would go to marriage counseling. But she said she didn't need it. She is fully aware of what she did and doesn't need someone to explain to her why she did what she did. She did say that she wants to fix our marriage, and I do feel that she feels bad for what she did. But at the same time, it seems that she thinks the confession is the only step to reconciliation that she needed to make. I want things to work at the very least for our son, but everything is so raw and fresh, I don't know what to do. Tomorrow, I will look into counseling to help me work through with this, but I figure, why not ask a bunch of internet strangers for advice? Best case, someone says something that really helps. Worst case, I ignore everyone and continue with my life. So, what advice do you have for a cheated on husband and father? Edit, I appreciate all your advice, but realize that the things are much too raw to process anything right now. It hasn't been 24 hours since I found out. I'm going to take some time to sort through everything. Once the dust settles, I will come back, but for now, I'm taking a time out. Edit 2, final edit. So, a few days have passed, more details have come to light. Friends have been contacted, etc. Frankly, I think there are too many nuances and past history to really paint a full picture for internet strangers. Luckily, I'm discussing the matter with friends, both mutual and personal. People who know me, my wife, and pretty much our entire life story. I do want to salvage our marriage and family, but I realize that it takes the effort of both of us to make it happen. So, I have scheduled us for marriage counseling and contacted a divorce lawyer to make sure all my bases are covered. Here is the update. It's been 1.5 months since I found out my wife cheated on me. I have spoken to some of our good friends that I've known for years, and they helped me a lot. I also appreciate everyone who reached out to me after my original post. But there's only so much you can help as a stranger over the internet. I talked to a divorce lawyer about what it would look like. Without going into too many details, even if we got 50-50 custody, due to the volatile nature of my work, the distance and the cost of travel between my work and where my wife's family lives, where she would move back to, I would not be able to see my son except maybe 1 or 2 months a year. I have not completely ruled divorce out, but given the extreme hardship it would put me on to see my son, I'm only using it as a last resort. Therefore, we started counseling. Unfortunately, between COVID and some of the pre-planned life changes, we haven't been able to meet much. So far, the counsel has only talked to us about what led to the infidelity, as well as what we want in a relationship. Nothing too crazy or deep, but at the same time, we have already had some good conversations, so I'm hopeful that we'll be able to come to some reconciliation. Personally, I'm in a better place right now, and things looks like it's going to be better. So, I have hope. Apologies in advance. I know I'm leaving some things very vague, but even with a throwaway, I'm still a pretty private person. So, I won't go into too many details even if people ask me in the comments. Just know that I'm doing okay and life is definitely better now. I appreciate everyone who reached out to me. End of the story. Thanks for listening. Please like, comment and share the story if you enjoyed it. Also, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.